All right. So I want to talk about like creating content. Um, just through discussions with friends, discussions with people who want to be entrepreneurs, people that want to create content, people that want to create a business, not even necessarily create content, but there's people that want to create content, want to be influencers, want to build a business, don't want to work a normal 9 to 5 job. And then there's also people that are in the kind of new wave of entrepreneurship trying to do um, like growth operating, trying to build an agency, trying to do like freelance. And I would say if you're in the latter, you want to do freelance, you want to do growth operating, you have a business idea that can be done without necessarily 100% just creating content. And I'm saying more power to you. Yes, you should do that. That should be maybe still majority of your focus. But that what I'm about to say encompasses everyone. Influencers, aspiring people that just want to make money on their own accord, business owners, agency owners, whatever the case. If you don't want to work a normal 9 to 5 and you want to make money independently, this is for you. In my opinion, you have to make content at scale for years in order for you to attract whoever is going to pay you and give you money. If you're a fitness coach and say you want to do fitness influencing, you already know you have to make content. That's not a wild thing to say, hey, why don't you record your gym routine, record your diet and post it. That's not a wild thing for me to tell someone who wants to be a fitness coach to do. But when there's people with marketing degrees, people that graduate in marketing, people that graduate in advertising, business, business development, whatever the case, and you don't want to make content, then your option is get a job or stop trying to build a business. Why are you trying to build a business and you don't want to invest time and energy into making content? I just don't see the point. So my point is, and this is just the point for the whole video, just create content, period. Start now. You don't have time to waste. If you really think how social media works, you're competing with for attention at scale. You're competing with CNN, you're competing with Fox, you're competing with Procter and Gamble that makes content, you're competing with your friend that's an influencer, you're competing with every gym influencer, every celebrity influencer, you're competing with everyone who posts on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and TV and radio and any magazines, newspapers, you're competing with everybody. That's where your clients are going to come from. Even if you were doing growth operating or you're in the back end of business, is what I should say, because not everyone knows what growth operating is. If you're on the back end of business, even then, you can get away with having a business without creating content. But think about how much cold calls and cold emails and cold DMs you're going to send in that business. You'll send thousands and thousands before you get anything back. The amount of effort you're going to put into that, you're going to get one client from thousands of outreaches, thousands of cold. You don't know these people, they don't know you, they don't care about what you're talking about. Thousands of them. Think of how long that's going to take you. And I'm telling you, you're going to still do the same thing with content. But while you're doing that, people are going to be liking it. Eventually, people are going to like it. People are going to communicate with you. People are going to talk to you back, comment, engage with you. They're going to take that and share it with a friend. They're doing almost like 1/4 or 1/5 of the groundwork for you, as opposed to you cold DMing everybody and getting left on red every time for months, maybe years on end. Now, if you actually cold DM'd for a year straight, 100 people a day, I actually do believe eventually you'll land a client or you'll get paid for something like that. I think that goes with the laws of the universe. You put in that much hard work, it will pay you back. But if you take that same principle of the world will reward you for hard work and you put that towards content, it'll happen faster and you'll have a bigger pool to grasp from, and you could be selective with what clients you want to take versus what you don't want. You won't just take anything that comes back to you. That's the power of content. When you're attracting people to you, it almost aligns with how the universe works. When you're attracting people to you, you have a different amount of leverage versus going after people, knocking on doors all day. That's sales. It hurts and it's a grind. That's one way. But that way is even harder. I would tell you to actually split your time in half do content and half do cold outreach. But the point of this video, because everyone knows that if you're going to start business, you must do outreach in some way, some form. My position here is that you need to make content all day, every day. If you're in this business marketing sphere, if you're an artist, if you have any if you're an artist, a creator, you want to own a business that has to deal with consumers, meaning it's not just a B2B business, you must create content. There's no other option. There's literally no other option. If you want to sell product to people, you have no other option than to make content. And that's just the start. I'm just telling you, you have to do it. That's the first part, is that you must do it. Then you have to do that every single day. Then you have to do that multiple times a day on multiple different channels every single day, and people still will not care. Then you still have to keep doing it for years. And then if you get results, you still have to keep doing it all the time, every day, multiple channels, every single day, and then reply to everybody and do community management and PR, etc. every single day. You could basically say for the rest of your life. But until your life changes, that's what you have to do. What other option do you have? If you're building a business and you've set up this infrastructure, you've bought product from China or overseas, and you've done all that work with logistics and trying to get samples and then trying to get inventory, then you set up a website, which is good. I applaud for setting up a website. Then you set up a website. Then you have a business set up. Then say even you go as far as to get a warehouse, or you're paying to host your product in a sense, whether that's the website, a warehouse, you're using half your home, you're still paying rent. And you don't want to invest in making content that's high quality? Why? Like, I really am concerned. Like, what's your agenda? What's the purpose of starting a business in the modern age and you still don't want to create content? Think about it. If you're under the age of 30 or around the age of 30, even older than 30, you grew up with this. You saw the trajectory of MySpace. You saw how Facebook went. Then you saw Instagram and Tumblr and Twitter. If you're over the age of 30, you have an arsenal of reminders through your life that this is what creates large amounts of tension that you then leverage to sell whatever you're selling on. You've seen it over and over. If you're over the age of 30, you know. You've seen it with Martha Stewart. You've seen it with when these news channels during the day have talk shows, and then they host someone to come talk that has a book or a product, and they use that to talk about their story, their cause, and at the end, they want you to buy their book. Those people sell exponentially more than anyone else trying to start a business and trying to bootstrap it and just tell their friends to buy it. Those people that got on that NBC show or whatever talk show came on in the early 2000s during the day. If you're over the age of 30, you saw that. And so that formula was put in your face every day on the news or mainstream television for years until social media came about. Then we saw it with MySpace. How many comedians came and got massively successful from that era of MySpace and MTV? And then again, we saw it with Facebook. And that was like a 5, 6, 7 year run. Then we saw it again with Instagram. We're seeing it at scale now. It's almost too late. And I don't think it'll ever be too late. But the amount of competition you have now is dire. You can't miss out on it. Think about it. Think about, it's harder now to convince someone to give you their money because of the vast amount of products and options the consumer has. The consumer is spoiled now, in a sense, right? They're spoiled, meaning they have so many options for every product and every service you could think of selling them. There is no new invention. There is, but There's very rarely new, purely new inventions. If you can create something that's slightly new and the product is good, like debatably really good, and the branding behind that is solid. If you took the time to think about the branding, you already know about marketing, but you take time to develop the branding plus the product. The last equation to you making serious money and impacting your life, changing your business, is to invest in content creation and doing it with quality and doing it the right way. If you don't do it, you will not have upside in the next 5 years. There's no other way. There's just no other way. Content is ads. If you're saying, yes, okay, I hear you, but I'll just run ads. Good ads are good content, period. A marketing funnel is good content funneled down to a sales. That's what a marketing funnel is. If you've heard of that, you know what this is. If you know what a marketing funnel is, you really shouldn't even be watching this. You should be executing. But a marketing funnel starts with getting attention. So you need content to get large amounts of attention. Now I'm going to go on the bigger scale. If you want to change your life, you create content. That's the only way to escape now for free. Everything else requires you to buy some masterclass, enroll in some course, enroll in some school. I don't want to sell you anything. I have my own, ways to make money. If you want to hire me to do marketing, fine. But everyone out there that's just wanting just to start or be an influencer, start a small business, or just sell things on the side, they don't really like the job they're working, they want to leave from that, they don't know another way, they're lost. I can't necessarily fully help you. I can just tell you, you have to create content. It will change the trajectory of how you're seeing everything. The amount of attention you'll get, you will now be spoiled with the options of who you want to sell to, how you want to target your product to people. That's leverage. That's how you create leverage. And if you know business, you know that creating leverage means you're in a sweet spot. You have negotiating power. You can set your prices. You can set your brand. You could say, we're only selling. You have to buy 5 units of this. You could say that. You could say, this is my service and it costs $10,000 and I'm not moving. Because you've already have the massive amounts of attention. You don't need to beg and do cold outreach all day long. If you focus on creating content that is good, you will attract the kind of person you want. And not even just, I'm not saying that you create content today and your client will show up at your door tomorrow. No. Most likely you'll end up attracting people that also want to do the same thing you're doing or are already in that industry to some extent. So that necessarily doesn't make those people your customers. I understand that. But once you have enough people that are in the same industry as you, looking up to you for content, not only will there be people referring your business to other people that aren't in that industry, that are customers, or you have so much domain over that industry now that when people just think of say it's cooking, when people think of home cooking, they think of you. You won't be selling 1 or 2 digital e-cookbooks for 99 cents. You'll be selling packaged seminars, courses, books at scale, book deals from this. There was no other time in history where you can just do that. You had to have, 10 years ago, you had to be in a magazine. You had to get on NBC or some talk show that's on, daytime television. There was no other option. You had to run ads in a newspaper or get on TV or be the local celebrity. What I'm telling you right now is to package that idea up of being the local celebrity, getting on the newspaper and getting on daily talk show, and you now create that. You are the producer of that television show. You are the producer of that magazine, and you now control what media comes out. And it's going to be hard. You can't just turn up tomorrow and now you're NBC or CBS or CNN. You turn up tomorrow and you're just a guy talking, and no one's going to listen for years. But if you don't do it, you're missing out on so much opportunity. There's people that are dying for it right now, creating content every day that will take your place. And we're competing for attention at the end of the day. You're not competing with people in your industry, really. You're competing for attention. Everyone wants to get attention to leverage their business. People are already doing that at scale constantly. If you look at what TikTok is, that's all it is. It's all it is. Like Instagram, we can debate what it really is about. That's one of the last true, networks we have for literally socializing, for just people socializing. Like, I'm a normal guy. I have an Instagram. I make content. I don't even make content really. I just post about my family. We have a newborn. I post the newborn and their baby shower and all this, whatever the case, just family stuff. It's like Facebook back in the day. It's normal. Fine. But now that TikToks came out, that app is 100% just attention and leverage. That's it. That's all the app is. And we could say, oh, well, it's funny and it's entertaining, etc. Look at the people who are actually posting the funny and entertaining content on TikTok. You'll see that those people have an agenda to gain leverage, to either change that thing into a media company, change that thing to leverage to sell courses, coaching, product, or just to gain a mass amount of attention just to grow their TikTok. So the idea of TikTok is just purely growth of content. That's why the algorithm is the way it is. It's why it prioritizes content over now your social connection. And Instagram has changed it that way. It's not now just my opinion because I'm in marketing, so I think that's what we should do. That's the way science is moving. That's the way technology is moving. TikTok's algorithm is AI. It's an AI function. And its priority is to get content in front of your eyes regardless of its connection to you. It's interest-based. So if you're thinking of creating a business or content or want to be an influencer or just make money, period, or just make money online, then wouldn't it be smart to take advantage of now that you don't have to be socially connected to someone to get in front of their face? 10 years ago, when we had Facebook and the beginnings of Instagram, you almost had to have some form of connection or mutual connection to someone to get in front of their face, or you ended up on the Explore page. Now the Explore page is the home page. So you have an opportunity. Everyone has a shot now. It's just that that's also the problem. Everyone has a shot now. So you have to compete on a totally different level. So it's not just, now that I'm saying create content, you've heard me and you agree, right? That's not the end. The next thing is, are you, one, creating with speed and consistency every single day you're awake? And then are you doing it with extremely high quality? And quality comes in so many different ways. That doesn't mean just aesthetic. That means, are you providing value in that content? Is the content actually stopping people from scrolling? Because if you're just putting junk in the world, you're almost kind of making it harder. But at the end of the day, we need people making bad content because that's how the algorithm can rank things good or bad. And people that make good are boosted just as more because there's more people creating bad content in the sphere. So just as much as we just need people waking up tomorrow thinking they'll be the next millionaire and making content for a week and then quitting, those are all going to be bad content. Then we need people who are grinding their face off, trying to make the best possible content they can and putting that into the world, and those people will eventually win. So we need both sides. What I'm advocating for is that you go the ladder and make the best content you can to provide the best value you can at scale. Now, let me try to give some practical advice. Since that a lot of that was motivation, and you should take that for motivation that, okay, yes, I'm going to try. My business isn't doing great. I'm going to try to make content. The next thing, if you're still watching, The next thing is more practical. Think about how you consume content. And, I want to give a warning though that as a business owner or someone that's hardworking or someone that is maybe a little older, your audience are the people that are going to be consuming you up until you start getting either the monetary results or whatever results you want. Up until that point, a lot of your audience is going to be normal consumers. They consume things online. I'm not talking about consumers that necessarily even buy product. We're just talking about people that consume content online. Generally speaking, those people aren't the same kind of person you are. You're already a different kind of person because you're even thinking about it. The fact you're even thinking about creating or thinking about wanting more for your life. If the fact you think you want more for your life separates you from the average like internet consumer that they just watch things on the internet, you are slightly different or even drastically different. So when you first start to think about it, you may be thinking, okay, so what do I like or what do I watch? And you think like maybe I should just replicate that. And that's a good idea. That's something I've done. I've started like that. That's how I've thought for a long time. But it's important just to consider because you're the kind of person that wants more for your life and you spend some of your time trying to build something or at least thinking you want to build something, you're not necessarily the exact person you're wanting to make content for, if that makes sense. See, it's a very nuanced thing because what I'm saying is you do want to create content that you would like. So you want to create content that it's as valuable and as high quality as something you would digest because that idea helps you just create. It helps you get in the mindset of knowing what to create and you have confidence in your creations. And once you create it, you're like, oh, I like this. This must be good. You post it, you're confident, and you move on to the next. That helps with speed. That helps you with the confidence of creating content over and over. But in the same breath, the people consuming what you post, they aren't necessarily the same kind of person you are. So you kind of have to consider what channels are people just going regardless of what I feel personally. You have to consider what's happening right now regardless of your opinion on it. For example, I'm not the biggest fan of TikTok. Personally, even content wise, me as a creator trying to do it, I don't like it, but I have to. I don't want to. I don't think the kind of people that spend majority of their time on TikTok are the kind of people I want to engage with. But that's my subjective opinion. You know, I'm actually being judgmental and I'm leaving money and attention on the table by thinking that way. So, me saying that, I'm leaving money and attention on the table by being judgmental of an app. But it's not about that. It's that the fact that TikTok is here, it's here. We can't do anything about that. And you have to understand that's where people are, period. You can't argue your way out of it. And I've tried. I've argued my way. I've rationalized in my own head that, oh, you know, TikTok isn't for me. That, like, TikTok isn't for me. Those are for people that don't have attention spans and whatever. All these excuses. At the end of the day, I'm just making excuses. You can't be, emotional about this. This is almost like it's an emotional game because you're working with content and things that are subjective and you're entertaining and educating and inspiring. So it's inherently emotional, but you can't be emotional about the mediums you use. It has to still be rooted in some strategy and some business acumen in the sense that you have to understand like where people are, that's where they are, and you can't fight that. You have to just figure out a way to take whatever you're trying to say, whatever content you want to say, whatever you like even. This is where it comes into it's both. It's like you can't be emotional about the medium, but if you're emotional about, you love sports so much and that's your route. You love sports. Let's use that analogy. and somehow, some way you want to make sports content, and you think, you hate TikTok, whatever the case, you can't be emotional about the platform of TikTok. You have to take your emotion of sports, your love for it, and somehow package that up to fit within the TikTok mind frame, TikTok game. You have to figure out a way to package what you're trying to say and make it adaptable to the type of person that spends most of their time on that platform. And we could, TikTok's a tough one for if you're older watching this. I can understand you not wanting to go all in on just TikTok. I understand. Let's compare it to LinkedIn. Let's say LinkedIn. LinkedIn it's not the opposite of TikTok, but it's on two kind of different planes. The mind frame of LinkedIn is just it's a lot different. We're talking like 25% of people on the app have at some point looked for jobs on there. We cannot say the same thing for TikTok. um, I do believe people search for opportunities on Instagram, but it's also not the same as LinkedIn. So let's think about LinkedIn for a second. If you're a sports person as well, like you want to do sports, you want to talk about sports, that's your way of content. To translate that on LinkedIn will be actually a little hard because the nature of LinkedIn isn't necessarily 100% entertainment. You would have to package what you're trying to say up in such a way that it's applicable to the mindset people are in when they're on LinkedIn. So another example, I would just say, you want to do sports. I would try to package it up in maybe a news format that you're somehow informing, sorry, you're somehow informing people of news, um, in some form of like it's more of a formal way of communicating. And you do it in such a way that the type of person that's on LinkedIn would digest it. So if you're doing it in a news format, you don't want to make it too juvenile, you don't want to make it too colorful. You would maybe want to make it a little more formal but entertaining and digestible by someone that's kind of in between their lunch at work, coming home from work. They either want to unwind, but they're still kind of in work mode just a little bit, or they're checking on what their colleagues are into. You would think of it as like water cooler talk. That's the casual side, but you'd present it in news format. And I know that's kind of hard to grasp what I'm saying, but if you create content, you'll know what I mean. Is that it's your tonality and the culture of the app. And then you apply what you want to talk about to that. So that's one tactical way. Another tactical way, and this is what I did. I heard this from a streamer. Whenever he's watching TV or watching any like content online, any YouTube videos, he'd have a notebook with him and write down everything that was interesting. And I would implore you to do the same, but I would also say anytime you see something online that you want to send to someone, like, oh, I need to show this to my friend, I need to show this to my cousin, like, this is cool, save that. You know, that one can give you a clue of what your content could become. Two, it could give you a clue of triggers of why people share content or content goes viral. Whatever feeling you had when you saw that made you feel like you had to share it, you need to try to replicate that in your content somehow. So taking notes on what content's good is so important because it will give you a better idea of just thinking from your mind what's cool. We don't really know what's cool. You know, I'm not advocating that you just rip people's stuff because people work hard to create content, but I'm saying save everything you find interesting and save everything that you would send to your friend. Then you need to look deep into that thing of why am I watching this? Why, after I'm watching this, I'm so motivated to now send this to someone else for them to see. What's the reasoning behind that? Why am I wanting to do that? If you can answer those questions for your own content, then you're already very much ahead. And you already are mapping out a formula of what works in modern day right now, this second, and what works for people like you. That's another thing. And then I would say, the writing things down is huge though, because you'll start to have a log of how, a consumer mind works when you're in a phase of consuming, like keeping a log while you're, watching content. It can even be watching like, mindless TV. If you're just writing down things that trigger you, make you laugh uncontrollably, inspire you, ideas, those things aren't just for you. If you now think about it, like stay with me real quick, because this one's gonna be kind of hard to explain, but I've been thinking about this for a while. If you're writing down everything that comes to your mind, every idea, everything that you see that inspires you, like everything, just writing any thought that keeps pronounced in your head down, that in itself is content. Like it seems like it's not. It's just your random thoughts of ideas and stream of consciousness. I'm telling you, that is probably your best content, because you can write about it for a long time, because it came natural organically to your mind. You didn't necessarily have to rip content to get that. You consumed something, and your natural mind took another step to think of an idea or think of a saying or think of something you now have to write down in word. Not verbatim with the TV thing. I'm saying an idea came to you, so you wrote it down. That idea within itself is content. Not it's a content idea. I'm saying the fact you wrote it down can be somehow packaged up, put on social media, and that thing will probably work. For me, it's worked again and again. There's things I wrote down months ago, and then I wrote down like a list, like lists a month ago, just watching content. I was graduating, a lot of things were happening, so I was just writing things down. I was kind of slowing down on content creation. I was just writing. It wasn't even, my mindset wasn't, this is all content. I was just writing ideas down, things that come to my mind. A lot of things were going on, so I wanted to just make sure I can store that for later. I come back to that months later, and I just went down the list, and everything I wrote, I made content either about it or that was the content, and those are my best performing things back to back to back to back. It's not even funny. And not only that, that like me doing that helped me batch create content for months. You know, I have an arsenal of content whenever I have like writer's block or artist block, or I don't get post anxiety, but sometimes I'm just really busy and I can't, create a full thing from scratch, like an article from scratch or whatever. So I kind of have a bank of just ideas, images, things that from that notebook I've basically digitally went and created. So I can just pull from that anytime. And so, that goes to my other point that it's good to kind of have a bank of content or a batch of content that you're going to spread out and post. But here's another caveat to that, and I want to warn about this, is that once you start getting in the habit of batch creating content, you can't just take a bunch of days off after because you think that you've created a bunch of content so you can sit on it. It's good to sit on it so you can come back and re-edit and think through what you just created. But every day you still have to post. So not everything has to be super, in-depth videos and in-depth images, etc., or super high-def designs. You can put out tweets. Like you can just put out your thoughts straight to a tweet platform like Twitter or Threads. That's an option. And I would even say, that's another thing. If you're, taking notes or you're just taking mental notes of this is another tactic. Twitter is like the rough draft app. You take your thoughts, but this for me, this is exactly what I would do and what I currently do. I take my thoughts, I write down on paper in my notebook. Then I would take that one phrase from that, if it's line by line, however the case, and take that exact thing and post it on Threads. And I would do that a lot. And Threads, not everything's going to hit. You're going to post maybe 10 tweets and one or two will get some traction. The one or two that got traction, take a look at that and kind of analyze why. Then I would start kind of making threads in the replies of that tweet. So I would make another thread and continue on about it, and then maybe make another one, kind of finalizing it or just adding to it. And if that gets decent enough traction, then you would take that and make a visual for it. So a deck, you make a slideshow, a PDF deck, some form of visual communication for what you just said. Either you're finding examples for that, or you're just taking the text and putting it in Canva and making it look cool. And now you have content for the same app, Threads or Twitter. You have content for Instagram. You technically have content for TikTok if you want to do the image slide through. Then you have content for Pinterest, the cover image. Then you have content for Facebook. Then you see, out of those, what's picking up traction from that. Then you take that, and you take your tweet, and you basically write a script out, or an outline at least. A couple lines, or you can create a Canva slide, PowerPoint, however you want to do it. You write a script for that. And you don't have to necessarily go script by script, but write a script for that. And then, like I'm doing right now, open up your camera, open up your phone, and just record you doing it. Now, this could go two ways. You could do the YouTube long form route, but right now the way I'm speaking to you is because a lot of the things I'm saying has been over the past couple of months I've been thinking about, has happened in real life. I've been practicing all the things I'm saying to you. These are things that got me the best results that I'm saying to you. So it took a long time to make a long form video of me just ranting for however long. But the example I just told you, where it went from Threads to a carousel, which is just PDF slide deck for Instagram posts and LinkedIn posts and Twitter posts and TikTok, whatever performs good in that, you write the script. Then you either make a TikTok green screen video. And, if you watch Gary Vee, you know what I'm talking about. If not, you'll know what I'm talking about. A green screen video is where you'll talk to the camera and your background that's behind you is the article or the tweet or whatever image you created is behind you, and you're talking literally over it. It's a green screen background that is the image you created, the tweet you created, or some article that has to do with what you're talking about. Then you give your 2 cents about that. Then you post that. Or, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do short form. You go long form. You then have to kind of sit down with that script for a little bit, with that outline. Write a little bit more. Take some time to do a little more research. Whatever it is you're talking about, practice it a little bit more. Just a day. Just take a day to really think about it. Have some things you want to say. Have some things in the back of your head that is going to come out as you're recording, just like I'm talking now. And you make a long form video and post that. The job isn't over. Once you post that, obviously it's not going to get a lot of views. I don't get a lot of views on long form. But I can still see from 4 videos I've posted which ones just perform the best out of the 4. Then you take that one, you look for, if you don't have a heat map yet, which when I say heat map, it just means that squiggly thing on the bottom of YouTube. As the video plays, there's like a play bar, and you'll see kind of where the attention is in the video. Are people skipping to this? Is the most viewed, etc.? You take that part, you clip it, and put it on TikTok. Everyone that's in marketing that's watching this, you kind of know exactly what I'm talking about. It's not new. So those are kind of some tactics I would go. Let me think back to, what I've said. The most recent thing is pretty important. Make a tweet. That's your draft. You reply to your own tweet, making it a thread. You take that. If that performs well, you make a visual out of it. Use Canva, use Photoshop, whatever you want to use. That's easy. You can even, in a sense, you could just screenshot that thread, crop it in such a way and put that directly on Instagram. Then if that performs good or it performs moderately, you just want to keep making content about the same thing. You take that and then you write a script for it, an outline for it, and you make a long form content of that. Or you can create a short form content. The other step is making a short form, and if that goes good, like the green screen I'm telling you, just pick up your camera, record vertically, and you just talk about what the tweet was about, and then post that. And if that does well, or does moderate, you take that idea and you make it long form. Whether you write an article, you make a YouTube video, or you use Vimeo, I don't know, but some form of long form, and then you repeat the cycle back. Whatever has the most views, like at the bottom, you'll see in the video what people are watching the most. If you get to that point, you would clip that up and go back to TikTok, go back to Twitter, and then you repost that, reply to it with more information, and you just repeat that cycle again and again. Here's exactly what I do, because this video's getting long, it's 40 minutes. This is exactly what I do. I consume content, that I like: business content, branding, fashion, creative, even just news that has to do with those things. And I operate as a media company, so I'm just looking for the latest news within those sectors of fashion, business, luxury, branding, marketing. Whatever I am interested in that I can talk about at length, like this video, I'll choose that, because eventually I may talk in long form about it. So I find that news and then I take notes on it. What information am I deriving from that? Why do I like it? Why did it catch my attention? Why is it important for people to know this? Why would I take that and say it back to my audience? There must be a reason. I'm either interested, it's valuable, creatives can learn from it, it's something that we care about for some reason. There's reasons behind it. So I would take notes on that. I would take notes on that. And then those notes are now either tweets, threads, or LinkedIn, like written posts. And I would kind of outline it a little bit, because I'm not yet to the article part, but I would outline it. Then I would take that. If, say, I posted it on threads, usually I don't, sometimes I do. It just depends how bite-sized the content can be. But anyway, I would take that and make a visual deck about it, a PDF carousel. On Instagram, you have like the static photos that you can swipe through. It's like that, but you make it on Canva. Then you could post it on Instagram. You could post it on LinkedIn. You could post it on Facebook, TikTok, Threads, Twitter. Now, if it gets traction on any platform, some it will, some it won't. The context and culture is different. That's why I spoke about in the beginning of the video. You take that, post it. If it performs well, you take that, you make an outline, then you make long form, and you also make a short form video. Then if it performs good on long form, or you could just read the analytics and just know that someone paid attention, one person cared, you take that video, you clip it down to the most actionable parts, the parts that mean the most, or can just be clippable, like they're sensational, the clips that mean the most, that could potentially mean the most, or gets your point across quicker. You take that and you break that down to bite-sized content, and you go back and do it again. Essentially, you take that video and you put it on TikTok. You can put it on Twitter. You can put it on Instagram Reels, and you basically almost run that process again. When I say that, it'll reveal itself. Once you've done that process fully, once you get back to that short form content again, it'll start to reveal what other pieces of content can be created from that type of content. So if you've went through the whole process and you're back to kind of short form, it'll reveal itself what other things you can repeat that process with. Now, then when you start watching content again, it'll start to reveal there's unlimited things you can make content about. That's the hardest part. Me just telling people, like in the beginning of this video, I spent like 20 minutes screaming about create content, create content. The idea of that isn't the hard part. The hard part's actually coming up with content that can be used at scale. But once you go through that process, you'll start realizing there's infinite content in the world. You can look at everything and create from it. So, you know, that was a lot. That was about like 40 minutes of me just ranting about why you need to create content. And I'm not going to clip this up. I'm going to upload exactly how it is. And then I'm going to do exactly how I told you. It's going to get clipped up either by text, by static images, or by video. And I'm going to repeat the process back until it gets me back to another video that is long form. It'll make sense. Just start creating content and then come back to this video. Start creating content for a month straight. Go hard for a month straight. Come back to this video. Everything I'm saying will make a lot more sense. So if you're here all the way to the end, you know exactly what you're doing. Like, if you're here all the way to the end, there's no way you're not going to win. Like, you know what to do. Okay, so thank you, I guess, for watching, but thank you for staying to the end if you're to this point. I don't need to thank you. You know what works and you know exactly what to do. So execute. That's it.